Hello and welcome to Hunter Fuel, a supernatural rewatch podcast for adults who enjoy their show with a chaser. I'm Liz.
And I'm Lynn.
Thank you so much for joining us for season 2, episode 15, Tall Tales. We model responsible drunkenness here. All participants are way over 21. No one is pregnant. No one will be driving, operating heavy machinery, handling weapons, or slow dancing with aliens. If you're going to play along with us, those are the rules. If you decide not to follow them and you do something stupid, don't blame us. Lynn, what are you drinking this evening?
Well, because it is St. Patrick's Day that we are recording this, it
Is
seemed
indeed.
slightly sacrilegious to not
Uh-oh.
have a beer.
Ah, yes. Yes, excellent choice.
Yeah, had to have a beer.
I get it, I do. Well, the featured cocktail of this episode is, of course, a purple nipple. So, like this episode, there's more than one version of a purple nipple. According to the official Supernatural cocktail book, it is 2 ounces of coconut rum, 1/2 ounce of blue curacao, 1/2 ounce of creme de lieu, or I didn't have that in the house. I made it with Chambord, and 1/4 ounce of lime juice. Shake that up with some ice, strain, and serve. Now, the official companion volume for season 2 also includes a recipe for a purple nurple, and it's vastly different. That is one
Sorry,
quarter
the
ounce
name
each.
that just cracks me up. I know one of these days I'll grow up, but the name of that drink just makes me giggle.
But well, yes. So how can you not laugh over something called a purple nurple unless you are on the receiving end of one, which is not enjoyable. Now, the official companion volume for season 2 also includes a recipe for a purple nurple, and that lists it as 1/4 ounce each of blue curacao, vodka, apple schnapps, sour mix, and grenadine. And it includes the warning drinking and hunting can be hazardous to your health.
No shit.
So, with that, producer Mark, can you bring up our supernatural game cards, please? I'm not loving mine. I gotta be honest.
Nope. Yeah, no.
No. So
Just
we're
no.
uh we're gonna need some of the luck of the Irish tonight if we're gonna have any hope with these cards. But as always, the first one is on the house. Oh, slancha.
Sláinte. Okay, now I actually have an excuse to be giggly. Before I did not. Just
Okay.
right right before we started recording, someone said something very funny. That's why I was laughing so hard. So how is
Okay.
that?
Um, okay, so let me say that I did the coconut rum version because the other one did not sound terribly good to me. Um, it's it's not great. It's a strange combination of very sweet and also burning. It is not my favorite.
I'm trying to figure out how that would taste.
So, yeah, well, I happily shake one up for you the next time we're together. Okay. So, if you're going to play along with us, there is a link to generate a card of your own in the link tree. With that, let's get this show on the road. So the then segment leans really heavily into Hell House and all of the pranks that the boys played on one another in that episode. It contains a lot of quick cuts of them insulting each other. We've got the jerk and bitch exchange. We've got just a lot of the this kind of history of the boys playing jokes on one another. And the going back to the pilot when Dean was in the in the river and he smelled like a toilet. Sam glued his beer bottle to his hand. He put itching powder in Sam's underpants. So we've got all of that.
All I
Cut
can
to
say
the
is
now.
if we use that segment toward the cards, we'd already have like 4 or 5.
Yes. You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
It's like,
Um,
damn.
but no, we start with the now. So we've got this very close-up photo of this young lady. The actor's name is Tara Wilson. And I think it's interesting. She's dressed like a woman in white.
Yes.
But she's, out in front of a building. There's a much older gentleman asking if she's in one of his classes. So apparently, this is a professor, and he believes that this young lady is one of his students. So he initially says, my office hours are Tuesday, and she's like, "Oh, but can't you see me now?" He gives her a once over and he's like, "Yeah, I think I can make some time." She's got a nice little wiggle in her hips as she's coming up the stairs. And I think it's really interesting that this professor's name is Arthur Cox, and he has written a book on morality. So Professor Cox here um, is talking to her. He opens up his window to let in a little fresh air. She admits that she's not really one of his students. Uh, and he's saying the right things about, not wanting to take advantage of her. But he's clearly not protesting too much here.
No, no, he
Um,
is not.
no. So, I mean, and this is really kind of skeevy that he's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, it's only natural. You're young and wide-eyed. And I'm somewhat of a celebrity." So like he's laying it on thick
Thick.
here. And again, he's not protesting terribly, terribly hard when this young lady, moves in close to him. And he's like, "Oh, I just respect you too much. Like, you don't even know who she is."
Well,
Oh,
that is like, I respect you too much, but I'll start kissing you
I'm
anyway.
gonna kiss you. Yeah, yeah, because I
Yeah.
respect you so much. I'm gonna bang you on this desk.
Yeah.
So and this is great camera work here, I think, where the camera is coming around them as they're kissing, and there's this great effect here where like her skin starts
Yes.
to like decompose.
Yeah.
And he starts to back away from her and she says, "What? Don't you like me anymore?" As like she's just like falling apart here. Um so, she's mm, she looks she looks dead. That's what she looks. She looks
Yes.
dead. Cut to a set of keys, and we've got this gentleman trotting down the steps in front of the building. And as he's walking down the stairs, the professor falls out of the window and lands on the concrete behind him. So Professor has landed on his head, and Professor Cox is now very dead. He is
Yes.
limp, and he will not rise again.
Oh,
I'm
God.
going to pause it here on the title card, just really quickly. I want to mention that this actor who plays the janitor, his name is Richard Speight Jr., and he is a fan favorite at conventions. He co-hosts the Supernatural Then and Now podcast with another actor named Rob Benedict, who we haven't met yet in the show. Executive producer Robert Singer had worked with him previously on the 2001 project Sam's Circus, in which Spate played a character named, can't make this up, Bedpan. All right. So, coming out of the title card here, we're hitting play,
Yes.
and we're having leprechauns. We're having a lot of technical issues here. We're just going to try to keep rolling here. So we're 1 week later. We've got a quirky motel room, which we will pause in a moment to look for. But we've got Sam sitting on a couch, doing his research in an actual book. Um,
Which he
and
looks so
and there are
thrilled
these
about.
really gross, like smacking, chewing noises.
Yeah,
Go
in
ahead.
in what apparently is Sam's bed, which Sam just looks so disgusted by.
Yeah, because Dean is eating like chili cheese fries or something in Sam's bed. And Sam is complaining that the research would go a heck of a lot faster if he had his computer. Meanwhile, while Dean is eating his chili cheese fries in Sam's bed, he's listening to the radio, and Sam asks him to turn it down, and he's like, "Oh yeah, sure," and he just cranks the knob all the way up on his vintage radio. Dean is listening to "Walk Away" by James Gang. We've got a dude, and clearly the boys are getting on each other's nerves. Like they are just like getting ready to throttle one another. They are done. Knock at the door. Sam, finally, they check the peephole rather than just opening the door like they normally do. And here comes Bobby. Um, so uh, the there's something. So we know something's wrong with Sam's computer. Dean is also claiming there's something wrong with the car. Something is wrong with baby. And so they've called Uncle Bobby. They've called Bobby because it, they've been on this case for like a week and they've never seen anything like it. This is something truly bizarre. And they're hoping a fresh set of eyes is gonna shake all this up. Bobby is looking around at all the, like, stale food lying around, and he's like, "What oh my gosh, you guys are gross." So so this episode is told sort of in flashbacks. So we've got Sam's version here, and so Sam is saying that they're posing as newspaper reporters. They're interviewing a couple of college students at a little local watering hole, about the murder of this professor. And they've got this urban legend here where, the young lady is saying, 30 years ago, there was a girl having an affair with a professor. He broke it off and she killed herself by jumping out the window. But like a lot of urban legends, it's very light on facts.
Right.
So it's room 669. You flip the nine upside down, it's 666. No one who sees her lives to tell the tale. And the dude sitting here is like, if nobody lives, then how do we know? How do we know the story? Um, so Sam is like, okay, this is getting me nowhere fast. He puts his little tape recorder away, and we've got this close up here of three purple nurples. One disappears. Second one disappears. We've got Dean drinks, so we'll check for that in a moment too. Here comes purple nurple number three, and now I've just had one, and I don't know how he's drinking three in quick succession here. Um, is Dean is being kinda gross. He's like, "Ooh, I've got a feisty little wildcat on the hook." Close up of her, she's wearing fishnet stockings, a short jeans, little jean skirt, little denim skirt, and her name is Starla.
Well,
Uh, Dean has identified himself as Big Tom. Oh,
yeah,
she
and
starts
she's trying
gagging.
not to puke.
She starts gagging on this purple nurple, which again, I understand, Starla, I'm with you. Uh, and, Dean immediately is like, "Hey, she's got a sister." And
And I love Sam's reaction of like, no, no, thank you. I love
no,
that.
no, no.
Hold on a minute, that's not how this went.
Yeah,
No. You
Dean is
never.
immediate like, "Wait a minute, wait a minute. I do not say things like feisty little wildcat." And her name wasn't Starla. And Sam's like, "Yeah, well, then what is it?" Dean's like, okay, well, that's not the point." Here's Dean's version of the same story, and this young lady is much more sophisticated looking. She's wearing a little black cocktail dress. They're cheersing with their purple nipples. She's looking at Dean and she's like, "My God, you are attractive." And he says, "Thanks, but no time for that now." This
Bullshit.
version of the
There's no
story,
time.
he's coming off in a much better light. She's still got just an absolutely gorgeous rack, and her knockers are jacked all the way up to her chin. But she's like, it's like staring at the sun. She's so distracted. So we've got Dean hitting on a woman. Here comes Sam. And Dean's version of Sam is really, "What do you think you're doing?"
Doing.
I love his performance from Jared. He's hilarious. He's "This is a very serious investigation, Dean. We have time for your blah, 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 blah." Dean goes back to kissing someone whose name may or may not be Starla. Sam's like, "I don't sound like that, Dean." And Dean says, "That's what you sound like to me." This this is the way this episode is going to go, where they are at each other's throats. You can always tell which one of them is telling the story by which one looks like a dumbass. Um, and there, you know what? I'm gonna pause it here because we're about to get another little vignette here. So, okay, we have a quirky motel room, a dude. Dean checks out or hits on a woman, and Dean drinks. So we've got 4 things that we're looking for here. I have a dude.
I have a dude. Dean hits on a woman.
Oh, good
Dean
for I have a quirky
drinks.
motel room.
I'm looking for the quirky motel room. I was kind of trying to keep up with what you were saying, so I was like, bloop, 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 bloop.
Heartfelt no, son of a bitch. And Dean checks out or hits on a woman. So I
Yep,
have
yep.
3 of the 4.
I had 3 of the 4 also.
So I'm gonna pour myself a big in here.
Well, I think I already got a big one, so
Sláinte. Yeah, but you're not gonna
sláinte.
drink that whole bit. Chug, chug, chug. Mm, mm, okay.
Does it get better or worse with
Uh, it's not getting worse, but I don't
but
know how in the world Dean pounded 3 of these in a row.
because we've seen how much it takes to get him drunk versus you.
It
So
fair point. I am a lightweight. It's not the
yeah,
quantity of alcohol I'm questioning, it's the
quality.
cloying sweetness of it followed by the painful burning.
I don't think taste has a lot to do with Dean's
Y You
always
could
taste,
be correct about that. Okay.
especially when there's a woman involved.
Correct, yeah, and although I do understand how the lady whose name might or might not be Starla was having trouble keeping hers down. I am understanding that.
Yeah, well,
Alright, we're
she did
gonna
not look
play.
real sober, not by a
Not in
long
the
shot.
initial one. Yeah, Dean's version, she looks very
Of
sophisticated,
course
but
she
and
does. She
sober.
looked very classy, minus the really deep V-neck.
Yeah, which and
Um, I
little
mean,
bit
it
maybe
was still classy. Just the girls
it's
were hiked up to 20.
yeah, she brought her girls to play. Okay, so we cut back to the professor's office. Here we've got the janitor again. Um,
Mhm.
And we've got an EMF detector, so we'll take a look for that next time we pause. And the janitor is saying he's the one who found the professor dead. Dean finds a little jar of candies, and he starts to chipmunk them. And he goes back in the frame, and he's like, he's just got them jammed into his face. He just keeps jamming these caramels. He's like, he's eating the whole bowl, and he's still trying to talk. But what the janitor says here is Mr. Morality brought a lot of young co-eds up here. Uh, so apparently, they took a photo, like a screen grab of this Jensen with, with the caramels all in his mouth, and they gave it to him. They gave it to him as a present. But he's talked about filming this scene, and he said that, he was utilizing the spit bucket, which poor Robin, their on-set props master, she had to wrangle the spit bucket for Jensen, and he said even though he was spitting them all out, like, his tongue started to swell up from all the sugar.
Oh
So,
no.
it's funny as hell, but he kinda suffered. So,
Oh
Dean
my god.
So Sam pops open his laptop, and it's apparently he's stuck in a tornado, and it's frozen on bustyasianbeauties.com, and Dean is like, Yeah, that might have been me." He exits stage left. And Sam is pretty mad about the porn on his laptop. So now his laptop's broken. We're gonna check for a porn reference next time we pause. And Dean is, or I'm sorry, Bobby is like, okay, boys, back on track here. Like what did you find? They're like, nothing so far. Like, we thought it was a haunting, but there's no sixth floor. And this next thing, I'm gonna tell you, it's pretty freaking weird, even for us. So here we cut back to the building, and here comes the guy, the frat guy that Sam was talking to at the beginning. He's walking in front of the building, and we start hearing this like whoa, 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 eerie music. He's looking around, and all of a sudden, this giant spotlight, like this beam, just like hits him. He's he's trying to run, but it's following him. And
Oh.
he starts to get, and we can see it's Vancouver, it's
Yeah.
pissing rain as it usually is. And it just like picks him up and starts to like
Look
lift
at his
him up.
legs. His legs are like pulsating. Look at his legs.
He's like kicking and kicking. We've got a black screen, so I'm gonna pause it here. Okay, so
His tongue's out. Oh
yeah,
my
I know.
god.
He's about to have a very bad night. Okay, so we've got an EMF detector and porn. So let's see if either one of us have. I have an EMF detector. Oh, I've got to drink more than this. I do not
I don't have
have
either.
porn. Okay, well,
I
I'm
I I I
gonna.
will definitely join you though, because I
Oh,
can't
thank
make you
you.
drink that.
Commiserate with me.
Yes.
Mm. Okay. Hmm. Before we hit play, um, so this is the first reference we have in the show to Busty Asian Beauties. So when we first started, Busty Asian Beauties had its own square, but we have rolled that up under porn. But that's going to become a recurring bit. Um, and when this episode first aired, if you went to bustyasianbeauties.com, it redirected you right to the Warner Brothers website. So that was a functioning website once upon a time. Okay, here we go, hitting play. And Bobby is saying, Aliens?
Aliens?
Like, there there's no such thing as aliens. Like, his whole life hunting all manner of supernatural shit, he's never found one single shred of evidence that there's any such thing as aliens. Um, so they decide, "You know what? We know that, but we decide we're gonna go talk to the guy." So Dean cut to them talking to frat boy here, and Dean is recommending the purple Nurple. So clearly, Dean enjoyed them much more than I did. Uh, but they're talking to him, and he's saying like, "No, I do not want this on the papers." They're like, "Oh, okay, off the record then, because we're not really reporters."
Person.
So they finally pry the story out of this guy, and he says he blacked out and lost time. And when he woke up, he was on a table getting probed. And I'll say there's a joke here that I don't think lands terribly well, where they're kind of making fun of him for getting probed and like, okay, non-consensual probing is never okay. And
No.
just because it's a guy doesn't make it funny. But aside from that, even Sam is kind of having trouble keeping a
Keep
straight face, and so the puppy dog eyes are slipping. And this guy is saying, like, essentially he was assaulted
again.
repeatedly. And then the very worst part, worse than all of that, is that they made him slow down. And Dean's like, "How could it get any worse?" And some alien made you his bitch, and he's like, oh no, it was worse." Too. We've got we've got this disco ball and the 80s ballad,
The lady in
Christopher's
red.
Lady in Red, which if you were born in the 1900s, I guarantee you have slow danced to this song.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
So now the actor playing the alien that he's dancing with is Maitreya Fedor, who played Tyler in Playthings. So they brought her back. They dressed her up as an alien. So she's slow dancing with this guy.
And
We've got a boys
Bobby's
talk at
like,
the
"You're
same time.
exaggerating again, right?
Nope,
We're not
nope,
so sure."
no. So we've got the boys talk at the same time. We have a seriously, and now the boys have gone to check out the site of the abduction, and sure enough, there's a big circular burn mark on the lawn. And they're like, okay, sexed
Hey.
up ET, this is new." You know? So now they're interviewing Curtis. Now, Curtis is this actor, his name is Neil Grayston. He is a pledge in the fraternity. He's telling them that this guy who got abducted couldn't have happened to a nicer guy. He's an asshole. But Neil Grayston is in, he would go on to appear in Eureka, and Sarah Gamble was the showrunner on a show called The Magicians, and he appears on that show as well. But this is clearly Dean's version of this story.
Sorry, yeah.
Sam is like, "Oh, you're
I,
precious for this
I,
world."
you're always saying this
Oh,
pansy stuff. Look at the look on Sam's face, though.
yeah.
I'm like,
He's hugging poor Neil.
oh my god. But it's about as unsympathetic as you can get. Like, just the look on his face is
Yeah.
like, oh my god.
Yeah, this is clearly Dean's version of the story, and Lynn, as you said, Dean is like, "You're always saying pansy shit like that." But
Oh
back
my.
to the motel room, and they're like, okay, the only connection we can find between the victims," right? So now they have the professor, they have the slow dancing alien abductee, is that they're both dicks. Like one is a sexual predator, and the other was, the responsible for hazing the pledges at the fraternities. Other than that, they kind of can't find any connection. They're saying like the punishments are sort of poetic, like the punishment is fitting the crime. But they can't really find any connection. Sam's laptop has gone missing. Um, and I do love this little throwaway line here, like we never let the maid in, we keep the door locked, because it does sort of answer the question of like, how does housekeeping not find their monster boards and the weapons and all that? Well, and Sam starts to complain about all this spoiled food that Dean has left lying around, and Dean says, "What's wrong with my food?" And Sam says, "It's not food anymore, Dean, it's Darwinism." Cut to Bobby. Bobby's like, "Did you take your brother's computer?" Like, he sounds like such a disgruntled dad in this episode. "Did you take your brother's computer?" "No, I didn't. I didn't touch it." But now they've got one more thing that's just sort of wrong. Guy disappeared who was doing animal testing. It's another professor. He's and so we cut to this flashback of the professor. He's walking out of the building and he spots I believe it's a Rolex. It's a fancy watch in the sewer. He looks around to see if anybody else notices and he gets down on his stomach and sticks his arm down in this sewer grate
Sure.
to get this fancy watch. And he's smiling. He's about to get the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow here. He's very excited. And you start hearing this like growling and hissing, and he's just about to catch hold of this watch when he starts screaming. I know it's hard to see because it's dark. I'm going to pause on this black screen here. I would call that a gratuitous blood spatter. Again, it's dark, but you clearly see the blood, like, up onto his face. And
Okay.
frankly, we don't have a lot to choose from in this episode.
I
Uh,
I I am definitely not gonna argue with you tonight, not by a
no.
long shot.
So we're looking for porn, the boys talk at the same time, seriously, and a gratuitous blood spatter.
So I have
Uh,
seriously a gratuitous blood splatter,
I
boys
have
talk at the same
seriously.
time. And what was the other one? I can't remember.
It's like, uh, okay, I just have seriously. Let me look at those again. A gratuitous blood splatter, seriously. The boys talk at the same time, and porn.
Porn. That was I was like, I know there's one more.
Yeah, and the only one of those four I have is the seriously.
Yeah, I don't have the porn. Okay.
No, sadly, no porn.
No.
Although I now at this point have four in a row. If somebody were to kick in a door in this episode, I would have five.
I got
Fingers
three. I've
crossed.
I've got three in a row in three spots.
Okay, I'm gonna have a small one because I just have one. Fingers crossed for a door kick, Slancha.
Slange, even though I already had my beer.
Okay, here we go, hitting play. So here are the boys. They're getting ready to break into the morgue. We've decided we're gonna call this a lock pick when the boys
Yep.
use the knife to open a lock. So we've got a lock pick. We'll check for that next time we pause. And they are climbing into the morgue through a window here. Uh, and I I gotta be honest here. I think this is some Sherlock Holmes level deduction on Sam's part. Like, okay, I understand it's in the script. They've got to explain, but like there's almost nothing left. of
Nope.
victim number 3. There's, like, a leg with a shoe, there's a little bit of an arm, and a couple of squishy bits, and, like, he's this entire body is in, like, a wee little Tupperware container. So, it's all goo. Go ahead, Lynn.
No, I'm 1,000% agreeing with you.
Yeah, like, there's not much left of this dude, so they bring over this is kind of a fun shot here,
Yeah.
of Sam up through this magnifying light, and he spots this tiny little black thing, which he says, "Oh, it's a belly scale from an
Really?
alligator."
Yeah, seriously?
I know, like, I get this is a classic urban legend. They've gotta get the boys to realize it's an alligator in the sewer. Even a tooth would have been better, but,
Yeah, I was
like,
gonna s
it's I don't love it.
no,
It's
that
like
it looks nothing like a it looks nothing like that
I can't claim to be an expert on alligator belly scales, but it's just a little green thing. And
thing.
so, yeah, he's Sherlock Holmes. I love this shot here, this
Yeah.
360 of Dean climbing up out of the manhole cover. I think it's just a cool looking shot. Um, so as Dean is they check the sewers, no sign of alligators, but as Dean is coming back to get the car, all the air has been let out of all 4 tires. So again, we've got this 360 shot all the way around. And sitting next to one of these flat tires is a monogrammed money clip with SW on it. And so Dean
And
believes that
and we also had a son of a bitch there.
we did. You are absolutely correct. We have a son of a bitch. And Dean is convinced that Sam let the air out of the tires and he is concerned about it bending the rims. So he's got Sam's money clip, and Sam is very surprised to find that his money clip is missing. And he's like, "Give me back my money." Dean's like, "No, no, no. This is reparations for emotional
No
trauma."
drama.
And the two of them start to wrestle. Sam's trying to get his money clipped back, and Dean's like, "No, no,
No.
no, you can't have it." The two of them start wrestling on the bed.
Facial expressions.
Oh god, it's
Oh my
hilarious.
god.
And Bobby is like, "I am really surprised at you 2 boys. Like, first off, Dean did not steal your computer." Like, he sounds so much like a frustrated dad here. I love the interaction between Bobby and the boys, and he's like, "You 2 have your heads up your asses. You should have figured out what this is by now." And the boys are like, I got nothing. Nope, me neither." And Dean or sorry, Bobby is finally like, "You got a trickster on your hands." He's like, "The 2 of you are the biggest clue. These things create chaos and mischief. They've got the 2 of you like, they know you're this trickster knows the 2 of you are onto it, and it's got you so turned around you can't even see straight." So he's kinda taken them to task, like, "You 2 are supposed to be hunters here, like, put on your big boy underpants." And, he mentions Loki as being a trickster from Scandinavia. He mentions a West African trickster god called Anansi. Um, and he's saying, look, these things can bend reality. They can make you see whatever they want. And but they're into, deadly pranks. So we get this lore download from Bobby. Um, and the boys all of a sudden are like, "You know who's been at ground zero for every single one of these deaths?" And they're like, "Oh,
Ugh.
the janitor." Cut to Richard Speight Jr., and he's reading the Weekly World News. So we've got this is a wacky I don't know if this is a motel room or if this is his apartment, but this is a zany space. Like, seriously, take a look at this space. Just the art on the walls is hilarious. Um, but he's got the silk boxer shorts. Um, and he's got this table filled with, fruit and candy and cakes. So this thing's got a real sweet tooth. But then on top of that, he's like, you know what's missing? Two ladies in lingerie.
Of course.
So he manifests these two very attractive young ladies in their underwear, and they start feeding him chocolate-covered strawberries. And we're gonna pause on this screen here because we've got a lock pick and a son of a bitch.
Yeah.
So let's see
eh,
if either one of us has either of those. I don't recall seeing either.
I don't either.
Oh, I was mistaken. I have a son of a bitch. I don't need the son of a bitch. I need the kick in the door immediately next to it. Okay, well, I've just got the one.
I got neither.
Ah, and
Son
I
of a
assume
bitch.
you're enjoying your drink far more than I'm enjoying mine. Mm.
Well, yeah, but I can't let my sister drink by herself.
Mm. Yeah, sorry with me.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
So wonder.
You know what? It's important to stay hydrated. Okay. So before we hit play, at a convention, a fan asked Jared and who would have won in a fight, like, honestly, between Sam and Dean. And Jared's answer was, "Come on, I've got 3 inches on the guy, and I'm taller." Um, okay, Weekly World News, again, there's kind of a fun relationship between Supernatural and Weekly World News, and this episode got its own mention in an issue of Weekly World News periodical. So there's kind of a fun relationship between the show and that magazine. Um, okay. I think that is all I'm gonna sit. That's all I have to say about that. Uh, all right, we're hitting play.
Yep.
Cut back to again, we've got this close up of the janitor with the keys on the end of the thing. I love this shot here because you have 3 actors. Richard
Yep.
Speight is substantively shorter than Jared and Jensen. He's said that, when he met them at one point, he's like, nothing for nothing, but you motherfuckers are tall. So we've got this great shot here of the tallest one on the shortest step, then Jensen on the landing, and Dick Spate on like the next stair up. So they can get all 3 of them in the same shot. So I think it's a clever solution.
Mhm.
Um, and we've got another pick a lock, but essentially they've separated so that Sam
Yeah.
can go searching lockers while
Yeah.
Dean distracts the janitor, who they
Yeah.
believe to be this trickster. So as Sam is searching, he finds a copy of the Weekly World News, and it's right on the cover is an alien abduction, and of course, a scandalous photo of a lady in her bra.
Yeah.
Scandalous.
Scandalous.
So the boys are leaving. They're out front of this building, and they start having this very, very loud fight about it. Dean is insisting that Sam missed something. They're bringing up these grievances, and they're calling each other names. Sam says that Dean's a tight ass. Like it's just like there's a lot going on here, and they're just like doing everything they can to try to draw attention to this fight
Mhm.
fight that they're having. So Sam stalks off,
Yep.
and of course we've got the trickster in the window watching watching them.
Yeah.
Dean is still hanging around. My goodness, he's just adorable with his little freckles. Anyway, here comes now it's nighttime. Dean
Yeah.
is so Sam made Dean promise not to go in without backup. So Dean is sort of pacing back and forth in front of this building. Sam has not returned. And finally Dean is like, fuck it,
Fuck
I'm
it.
going in. This is kind of a cool stained glass window. We get a
Yeah.
good look at it. So Dean heads back in. He's by himself. And uh
He
the
should
story.
realize that his impulsive things never go well.
Yeah, no, he is a man of action, not words.
Mhm.
He's always gonna jump first and look later. That's just who he is. Um, but so he starts searching this building. And he I love this. He heads upstairs and we start to hear the dulcet tones of Barry White. So he's can't get enough of your love, baby. He opens up this, what is sort of a big lecture hall, and there's the disco ball from the slow dancing aliens. We've got a classroom scene tying us back to the professor. And if you look really closely, the alphabet on the board is made out of human figures. Like the letters are formed by people, and some of them are a little naughty. Apparently, standards and practices like you can't show that on television.
Yeah.
So
And
apparently they had like a
apparently, in
close up.
this scene, you can see one of the producers up in the box up there dancing along with
Okay.
the music.
Okay. Well, we will have to keep our eyes out for that because I have not noticed that before. But the trickster's got Dean's number, and he has these two beautiful ladies in lingerie. If you're attracted to women, there is a lot to appreciate here. Um, 'Cause these ladies are lovely, and they're in some fairly tiny outfits.
Yes.
And here comes the trickster, and he's like, "Look, here you go. They're all yours if you just, let me get away." Dick Spate has also talked about, and we're gonna see him, um noshing on some candy in a minute here, and he's also talked about forming a relationship with Robin because he also had a spit bucket. So poor Robin had to deal with a lot of spit buckets on this episode.
Oh.
But, Trickster is trying to he's like, "Look, I like your style. I don't wanna hurt you, but I'm gonna go. These ladies are all yours." And Dean's like, I like your style, the slow dancing alien, chef's kiss. But I can't let you keep hurting people." So poor Dean, he's like, uh, why can I not have the pretty ladies?" But here come Sam and Bobby. So this is a setup. Their stakes are ridiculous. They're absolutely ridiculous. Like, they're fence posts. Like, come on. There's really?
Well, where was he hiding that? Like,
Yeah,
seriously.
it's in his jacket. It's in his jacket. Here comes and the last time we saw um the trickster with the Weekly World News, he was looking at an article about a chainsaw wielding uh bad guy. And you know what? I'm gonna pause this here. And honestly, I want to run this back here. I'm backing it up to the start of this fight because this fight is fantastic. Um, so I'm backing it up here a bit. But like so originally The this chainsaw wielding bad guy was actually supposed to be Jason, but they found out at the last minute they didn't have the rights. So this is the chainsaw wielding lunatic that the trickster was looking at in the Weekly World News the last time we saw him. Um, and again, these stakes are ridiculously oversized. And actually, when Dean pulls his out of his pocket, he strokes it a little bit. So, like, I gotta think they're after something phallic here.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so I'm hitting play. Here come Bobby and Sam down the stairs again. Uh, cut to Dean stroking his steak here. And so Sam gets attacked by the chainsaw wielding maniac. Dean tries to stab the trickster. Here comes one of these lovely ladies, and the boys are just getting thrown all over the place. So we have someone gets
Literally.
thrown into a wall. Um, Dean drops his
I
weapon,
love that look
and
on Bobby's face.
I was like,
Like,
"Oh, crap." Yes, his steak gets cut in half. Dean gets tossed into lovely lady number 2, and his face plants right into her cleavage. And these 2 women now, first off, these 2 ladies have clearly worked very hard. They are very strong, great
yes.
muscle definition, well done, ladies. And they are beating the shit out of Dean. So, um They finally, like, manage to distract the trickster. Sam tosses Dean one of the stakes, and he stabs the trickster right in the chest. Chainsaw wielding madman disappears. 2 lovely ladies in their lingerie disappear. The set doesn't. So
No.
the bed with the disco ball, I'm gonna pause this on this black screen here. The classroom setting with the lava lamp, all still there. Okay, we are looking for, son of a bitch, we looked for the son of a bitch already. Somebody gets thrown into a wall, and one of the boys drops their weapon. So let's see. I
Uh,
have one of the boys drops his weapon. Um, let's see.
someone gets thrown into a wall. I have that.
Oh, good for you. I don't have that one. All I need is a kick in the door. Son of a bitch. I don't think I'm gonna get it.
All I need is an electronics flicker.
Oh, so we both have 4.
Yes. Yeah, I just
Oh,
got it. Um,
so close.
and
All right.
for some reason I feel like did we have a Sammy like way, way, way earlier?
Let me peek here. Let me check.
Or
Let
did
me
I
consult my notes. Um, let's see here. Uh, Quirky motel room, dude. Dean hits on a woman. Dean Drake's EMF detector, porn. Boys talk at the same time. Seriously, gratuitous blood spatter, lockpick, son of a bitch. I do not see a Sammy. Someone gets thrown
Okay.
into a wall. Dean drops his weapon.
Okay.
Sadly, no.
Okay.
If
I
only,
got
because I have
I
Sammy as well. It wouldn't help me get 5 in a row, but I have a Sammy as well.
yeah. All
Not
right.
that it does us any good. So, okay. So I just have the one of the boys drops his weapon.
Yeah, and
Here I go.
I don't have that one. Yeah, too bad one of them didn't get choked.
Why, oh, why can't we have a good, a good clean choking?
Yeah, and actually, if someone did kick in a door, I'd have another 4 in a row.
Oh, if only.
If
They had to pick the
only.
lock, not kick it in. Damn it. Okay.
All right.
Are we
Well,
doing this?
cheers. Yep.
Cheers. Mm. It does, I will admit, it does sort of taste like college.
Oh God. Well, that would explain. That would explain a few things.
That would explain a lot. Okay. Well, we've got 2 minutes left here. We're hitting
Excuse
play.
me. Excuse me.
Bless you. D these 2 ladies gave Dean a bloody nose and a fat lip. He's had a rough go of it. Again, Dean is like, "I like this guy. I hate to kill him. He had style." Um, they're heading out. So the 3 of them start running for the car, and they're like, "We need to get out of Dodge before somebody finds that body." And Sam stops and he's like, "Wait, wait, Dean, I just want to say, puppy dog eyes unfurl." And of course, they can't say, "I'm sorry." So they just like, "Dean, yeah, me too." And Bobby is like, "You're breaking my heart. Come on, get us in the car." Would you want to call that a heartfelt broman, or is it not enough?
No, because I mean, they were having one. It doesn't have to be a long one. It just has to be. I mean, it's supposed to be a moment. That doesn't have
It's
to
a
be a
moment.
paragraph.
All right, we're gonna look for a heartfelt broman in a minute then. Cut to the trickster dead in the theater, and here comes we've got this dirty shot here. Trickster disappears into thin air, and there the trickster still is eating his candy bar. Poor Robin from props. So the that is our episode, and the
Yeah.
trickster is not so dead after.
After all.
Um while we're checking for the heartfelt Broman, Jim Beaver has said that before he became an actor, he wanted to be a stuntman. So when stunt coordinator Lou Bolo asked him if he wanted to do a stunt during that fight scene of him falling backwards into a table, he was like, "Oh yeah, I am in. I am
Yeah.
so like he was very excited to do a stunt. He got an extra check for stunt work. Uh,
Ooh.
in addition to his, regular day player rate, and then they cut it from the episodes. He was so excited to finally be a stuntman, and it doesn't show on screen. Okay, so we are looking for a heartfelt broman, which I do. I have one. So,
I do not.
okay, well, all right, I am
But
gonna drink the last of my purple Nurple here. No more purple Nurples for Liz. Mm, okay,
all right. So for the cards, let's see how we did. I've
what have we got
got
here?
I have
I
four in
have
a row.
okay, I have 4 in a row twice.
I have four in a row once.
Okay, and then I have 3, 5, 7,
One, two,
9.
three, four, five, six, seven. I have eight.
Alright, okay. So we
So
both have 4 in a row. I appear to have of course, this always seems to be how it works, that the less I like my cocktail, the more squares I get.
I was gonna say for a card you said wasn't good, you did pretty damn good.
I didn't yeah, I had a little bit of that luck of the Irish going, so I have lost by the least. Okay. One thing you loved, one thing you hated.
All right, one thing I loved was Bobby.
Hobby.
Bobby cracked me up.
He's fabulous. Jim Beaver delivers a great performance in this episode.
I love him in this one.
Like the way
Um,
he's all like, you know, just
come on.
frustrated dad with two rambunctious boys on his hands. Like he plays that so well.
hmm And the thing I didn't like, now I'll admit, when I first and second time I watched this episode, this is not one of my favorite episodes.
Really?
Not by a long time. I
Really?
now watching it with you, clearly I laughed my ass off.
Oh my god,
Uh
I think this one's hilarious.
well, it watching it with you and commentating it with you, what like doing it with you. Clearly, I thought I can't fake that much laughter ever. Um I laughed my ass off. what to me didn't, I'm gonna say didn't fit, because it worked as a scene, it didn't fit in the episode to me,
Mhm.
was the first murder, the first death.
The Professor Cox.
Yeah. The the way every other death was made sense. That one, with the way it's the trickster. Yes, he's a jackass. Yes, it that part made sense. The way he, I mean, him falling out of the window made sense. The chaos. Her did not make sense
Hmm.
in the way that, yes, yeah, like he gets manipulated by her, but her turning into basically a dead woman
I see what you're saying.
doesn't doesn't work for me. Like, I
Yeah.
get she had to go from something desirable, like I see where they were going with it, from
Mhm.
desirable to undesirable, but I, to me, the dead, that, with how they did everything else, it doesn't work. It didn't work for me.
Yeah, I see where you're going. I think I don't know this for certain, but I presume they were looking at um kind of the urban legend that this was a ghost. Yeah, because remember the trickster is getting his ideas from the Weekly World News. So if he'd seen an article in the newspaper
Yeah,
Weekly World newspaper that that the building was haunted, and that was that the ghost was causing the deaths. I can see where they would have gotten to that from. um
then they
and again,
should
and
have
she
put a
is
link
kind of
in there or something to tie it. Then
uh,
I then
I
then I could have followed that, but
yeah, I see where you're coming from. Yeah, it's the kind of thing that you have to um how do I say this? Like it creates some dissonance, right? Like it's the kind of thing you have to think about and say, like, how do I make this make sense? Because I see what you're saying, that it in terms of the narrative of the storytelling, it sort of doesn't make sense initially.
yeah,
And I think again, it's a bit of a red herring that it's we're supposed to think initially that it's kind of a standard haunting that the boys are accustomed to dealing with, so that's why they
yeah.
go that route, but it's a misdirect. But yeah, I see what you're saying, and like once we find out what it is, it doesn't automatically make sense. You have to think about it and try to make the square peg fit in the round hole. I see where you're coming from. Okay, so something you hated.
Well, that was the thing that I hated, was
Oh,
the
I'm sorry. Too many purple nurples. What was something you like, Bobby? Okay, I'm all caught up now. For me, the thing that I loved was the fight between Dean and the two trickster ladies. Like the choreography on that fight is kind of genius, where it's a good fight. Like
yeah,
I mean, we don't have Andy's fight notes, sadly, but like as a non-fight kicky punchy person,
yeah.
I think that it's choreographed really well. Like they're legitimately kicking his ass, but
Oh
at the
yeah,
same time, you can see the tricksters hand in it, that it's also kind of a sexy fight, and they again, the way that Dean like face plants into the brunette lady's cleavage, like it's got some like really comedic moments and some really it's a sexy fight at the same time. So I think that that's really fantastic. And like, okay, is it exploitive? Yes, but it's like the trickster has Dean's number.
Oh yeah, I
Right.
mean,
Eh,
even when he goes flying across, it's funny the way he flies because it's very comedic the way he flies. It's not. It's like we've seen him like go get thrown seriously, and he has very different. I don't want to say posture
yeah,
because,
yeah,
but it's a very different way of flying for being
I
thrown for lack
agree.
of a better word. This is much more like
I know it's like a Looney Tunes. You expect like a Dean-shaped cutout hole in the blackboard.
yeah, yeah. I mean, like there's pure um comic relief through that entire fight scene. It
Yeah,
is. It's funny as hell.
I do. I love that scene a lot. In terms of what I hated, the two, and I've mentioned them both, but the two things that really kind of drove me nuts were the belly scale. Like I just
Yeah.
I understand where they needed to go, and I think they could have gotten there in a way that didn't require Sam to be Sherlock Holmes. Like, okay, the dude is smart. The dude is super smart. He's not an expert on crocodilian belly scales. If you could have just gotten us there slightly differently, I would have appreciated that. And again, the ridiculous oversized stakes. Like, again, as a fan of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, I mean, I watched Willow take out a vamp with a number 2 pencil. Like, you don't need a fence post. So, I just it's I think they were going somewhere. Like, those were comedically large stakes. I just feel like I don't know. There was a joke there and they just leaned into it a little too hard, I think.
Oh
Ha
yeah.
ha ha. Oh, because who doesn't love a hard steak? All right.
The
On
the
that note.
whole thing was one sarcastic thing after another. Let's
Oh,
be
God.
honest.
And that's what I do love this episode. I think it's super funny and I mean, they've done funny episodes before. I know you disagree with me, but I think the ghost facers in Hell House are really funny. I mean, we saw a lot of clips from that episode in the then segment. Um, so I mean, this is really the show's kind of second foray into being funny. And so one of the things that I love about this episode is that it lays the foundation for funny episodes we'll get later on.
Mhm.
So this is kind of a big it one could say it's a seminal episode. So
Very.
on that note, this is my last purple nurple.
I thought the last one was your last one.
Yeah, I lied.
I
Mm,
almost spit my
that is
beer
last
out.
call. I'm
I
sorry?
I came that close to spitting my beer out.
Dick.
I was
Oh, that would have been fun.
that was embarrassingly close.
Oh, there's a spit or swallow joke here. That is last call. When Lynn catches her breath. Thanks so much for coming along with us for the ride. If you like what we're doing here, be sure to tell your friends, like our videos, and subscribe so it's easier for other people to find us too.
And if
We
you
love
want,
hearing from go ahead.
I was going to say, and if you want to see more bonus content or watch Liz and I try to um, make complete sentences while we're drinking, which clearly we don't always do tremendously well, um,
Not not all the time.
definitely give us some topics for for Jared, so that way we can keep you guys laughing.
We do. We need some Ask Jared topics, so be sure to put those in the comments. And we love hearing from our SBN family. Please comment or send us an email at hunterfuelpodcast@gmail.com and follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Hunter Fuel Podcast. In our next damn you, Purple Nurple. In our next episode, we'll be watching season 2, episode 16, Roadkill, when the brothers help a lady who's had some car trouble. Until then, be safe, everybody. Bye bye.